welcome to Trojan Sports Now. I'm Jahmal Kennedy.
And I'm Kyle Shook. Stick around as we bring you the latest news and scores from Troy Athletics. Let's start at Riddle Pace. It was a long weekend, and I do mean long weekend for some of our athletics teams out there. Starting first with baseball, though, as they dropped the final game of their three-game series against Louisiana Lafayette. Jahmal Kennedy has the highlights.
Sunday rubber match with Troy's Evan Hebert on the mound against UL Lafayette's Hogan Harris, with Hebert having a rough go of things as Troy fell by a final score of 7-2 on Sunday afternoon.
You got to win the series at home, and we failed to get that done today. I give them credit. They came out and punched us in the mouth, and I think it knocked us back a couple innings before we got our bearings straight. Their starting pitcher today did a great job and only gave up 2 hits through his 5. And
Lafayette came out swinging, scoring 4 runs in the first 2 innings. But after things settled in, head coach Mark Smart thought his team bounced back and battled.
We hung in there and kept playing. I mean, we gave them a chance there at the end. We loaded the bases in the 9th, but I give them credit. They outplayed us today, and that shouldn't happen at home on Sunday, but it did. We've got to learn from it and get better.
Troy's now 0-2 on Sunday games in conference play, and that's just one of the adjustments the team has to make.
Well, we've got to understand how to prepare for Sunday. We're 0-2 on Sunday in the league now. We've got to get better on Sunday and find a way to win on Sunday. We'll have to make some adjustments in our readiness factor. I didn't think we were quite ready enough to start the game, and we had a chance to win a series at home by getting a great win yesterday, and unfortunately we didn't capitalize today.
On Saturday, Troy's Austin Crook struck out 14 batters, a stellar performance. Well, on Sunday, the script was flipped, and ULL's pitching staff as a whole struck out 14 Trojans, something that head coach Mark Smart says resulted from a combination of things.
I thought they pitched well, and I thought we did not stay in the strike zone well enough. Today, we expanded our strike zone, swung and missed too many pitches out of the zone to strike out. Yesterday, we didn't. Yesterday, we stayed in the strike zone the whole game. They walked 9 and only struck out 3. So we didn't do a good enough job offensively today, but they certainly had a lot to do with that.
Jahmal Kennedy, Trojan Sports Now.
Though the Trojans fell in action, they tallied 7 strikeouts as a staff to get through the game.
There are many different ways an umpire can ring a guy up. There's the lawnmower, the arrow, and what I call the bug catcher. And then there's just the plain strike 3 call. Saturday and Sunday, fans at Riddle Pace saw a combined effort of 38 strikeouts in 2 days of baseball. That's a lot of whiffing. Sunday, Troy dropped the rubber match of their series with number 15 Louisiana Lafayette, in part because the Trojans did strike out 14 times as a team. They lost 7-2 after Louisiana Lafayette was backed by a 4-run first inning. The Trojans struggled to hit anything, but the performance of the weekend went to Troy's Austin Crook, who struck out 14 by himself against the Louisiana Lafayette team with much firepower. He went 8 2/3 innings strong, giving up only just 4 hits, his longest career outing. His efforts earned him national recognition as he was named the College Baseball National Player of the Week after a performance that seemingly surprised even his head coach. But why?
Well, National Player of the Week, and I thought it was well deserved. Anytime you have a double-digit strikeout performance at this level, Aaron, that's quite difficult to do. Partly because Austin's not really a strikeout guy. He's a contact guy. He doesn't throw very hard, but he's got great changeup. He has great poise and great demeanor on the mound. I thought he maintained that throughout his outing on Saturday.
Crook's 14 strikeouts were the most by a Troy pitcher since Grant Bennett fanned 14 against Georgia Southern back in 2015.
Didn't get much better for the softball team as they attempted to welcome in the Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina to Sunbelt Conference action. But the Chants chirped back, taking the series from Troy 2-1. On the day's final game, the Trojans fell just short of defeating Coastal and taking the series, losing 6-5. In the top of the 6th, Erica Davis led things off by getting a hit. Meg Willis would follow with a single to left. A wild pitch and Chanticleer error brought home 2 runs to give the Trojans a 5-3 lead, but Coastal answered in the bottom half, scoring 3 runs to give them the final advantage. It wasn't all bad news over the weekend, however. Becca Hartley hit her 12th home run of the season, giving her a new career best. Last year, Hartley hit 11 home runs, and the year before, she hit 10.
This softball story, however, is all bad news. The Trojan softball team traveled south for a single game against conference opponent South Alabama on Wednesday night, and the trip wasn't good for the Trojans. Troy fell to the Jaguars 8-0 in 5 innings at Jaguar Field. Claire Graves earned her 15th start in the circle this season. She put in 2 innings of work after allowing 6 runs. Graves was relieved by Meg Willis, and Graves took the loss for the Trojans, moving to 7-4 on the season. Willis threw the remaining 2 innings of the game and allowed the final 2 Jaguar runs to score. Following the loss, the Trojans fell to 15-20 on the season, while the Jags improved to 20-12. South held Troy to just 2 hits over the 7 innings.
The title on the Troy Athletics site for the track and field teams wrap up at the Sanford, Alabama Track Challenge read, "Troy runs past in-state foes." Well, naturally, I assumed that meant the Trojans dominated the track. And, well, yeah, that was pretty much on the mark. Adriana Williams took first in the women's 400-meter dash. Helga Volge and Allison Taylor finished first and second respectively in the hammer throw. Alexis Garrett took first in the 100-meter hurdles, and Karina Cox, for the 3rd straight time, took first in the women's discus throw. The Trojans also took first and second in the 200-meter dash. And on the men's side, of course, Zach Douglas took first in the men's shot put. The men's 4x400-meter relay team took first place over South Alabama. Miles Charlie took first in the long jump, while Daniel Glick took first in the 3,000-meter steeplechase. And of course, Hakeem Montgomery, in its first outdoor action of the year, took first place in the 200-meter dash. Director Mark Davis puts more perspective on the performances.
Last weekend was, I think, the best collective performance we've had. It's really since I've been here. It's the first time I've actually seen a complete team effort across the board. It just shows we're getting better. The things that I was hoping for out of recruiting and out of the coaching that we are doing is coming together now. And with track being such a different sport, it takes a little while to get used to the coaching styles, the philosophy, and everything else. So, and just getting kids to buy in.
Once again, it was sophomore Hakeem Montgomery's first outdoor action since competing at the National Indoor Track and Field Competition.
The men's golf team is currently preparing for their last tournament before the Sun Belt Conference Championship. But first, the team wrapped up play at the Linger Longer Invitational. In a field of 15 teams, the Trojans finished ahead of 10 teams ranked inside the top 75 nationally, including number 37 Michigan, number 43 Kennesaw State, and number 45 Middle Tennessee. Troy as a team shot 2 under on the final day of competition, while individually, Luke Mercer picked up his first top 10 finish of the season, tying for 10th place, and finishing ahead of 5 players ranked within the top 100. Other outstanding performances included a top 25 finish from Clayton Vanoy and a 30th place finish for Jarrett Betcher. Senior Cam Norman put perspective on how the level of competition they compete against eventually prepares them for the Sun Belt Conference Championship.
Definitely makes us feel good going into our last few tournaments and then got postseason coming up, because we're lucky in golf that each week we're getting to play teams that are competing at a national level. So if we're beating these guys at tournaments now, we know that we can beat them in tournaments and regionals and even nationals. So,
as the Trojans finished ahead of other top-name schools such as Ohio State and Maryland, let's not forget Callum Masters individually, who finished in a tie for 56, shooting a 72 on the final day.
Let's keep the success train rolling, shall we? Let's stay with men's golf, who competed in the Linger Longer Invitational and finished in 4th place. They didn't win, but the success was there. The coolest finish came from Cam Norman, who shot a hole-in-one on the course. Here he is to talk about that cool achievement.
I hit my shot and had a little too much club, didn't hit it solid, but it was still going right at the hole. So I was telling it to get up, and one of the coaches from another school, I think it was North Carolina Greensboro, he made sure that I couldn't live that one down. He said, "You were calling for it to get up. You didn't think you hit it good enough," or something like that. But it was awesome to see it disappear and get to celebrate, even with guys that I was playing against.
It was Norman's first career hole-in-one en route to a top 30 finish individually on the leaderboards.
Not to be outdone by the men, the women's golf team has put in work at the Hensler Financial Intercollegiate. The women finished in 10th place overall, and a large part of that is due to Fatima Fernandez-Cano, who was named the Sun Belt Conference Women's Golfer of the Week after her performance on Monday. Cano posted a 72.33 stroke average over her 6 rounds in the 3M Augusta Invitational and the Hensler Financial Intercollegiate, including a 4 under 68 round at the Hensler. She played all of her rounds within 2 strokes of par in both tournaments.
The women's tennis team traveled over to Georgia to take on Georgia State on Saturday and Coastal Carolina Sunday. The team split with Georgia State, losing 4-3. The team would bounce back and defeat Coastal Carolina 4-2. Ophelia Herlina won her singles match, winning in 3 sets. Nancy Karaki followed up with winning her singles match as well, and also winning in 3 sets. Sine Ota lost her final 2 sets, and this resulted in the Trojans splitting with Georgia State. Luisa Ferrati picked up the first singles win for the Trojans on Sunday. Alicia Rodriguez clinched the match for Troy, winning in 3 sets.
The men's tennis team is back above the 500 mark on the season following 2 key victories last Saturday. The first win came against a Sun Belt Conference opponent. Troy shut out Georgia Southern 4-0, highlighted by doubles wins from Andy Lau and his partner Philip Manson, as well as the pairing of Andre Baldo and Mustafa Belcoura. Lau and his PIW, that's partner in wins. Lau and Manson went undefeated on the day in competition. Troy moved to 10-9 on the season.
Still to come on Trojan Sports Now, we'll have a preview of the Trojan baseball team's upcoming weekend series matchup against UT Arlington.
But first, I sit down with Troy Soccer's freshman defender Bree Shackelford. Stick around for more Trojan Sports Now.